Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. It is the most earth-breaking, ground-shaking, but never media show money-taking. The man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying villain in all of spooky season. Welcome. Today, I'm just going to give you guys my top 10 Halloween list. This is these movies that I've watched pretty traditionally every Halloween, or it's movies that'll be on a rotation because my list is extremely long, being that this is what I do. But there are some movies in here, some classic movies that, as a matter of fact, I just watched one of these today, which I'll be talking about. But what I want you guys to do is in the comments below, let me know what's your favorite movies to watch on Halloween. And, this is just my fun little list. This isn't like I'm actually ranking Halloween movies or anything else like that. This is just my movies that I like to watch during spooky season or in the Halloween time frame, either today, which I won't be doing because I'll be going to a party dressed as a Joker. I'll put some pictures up, but typically I tend to watch some movies, and these are my movie picks. So my first movie that I wanted to put out, number 10, is Event Horizon. Event Horizon is one of my favorite movies. If you guys don't know, it was made in 1997, and it was very much, this movie has become a cult classic because back when this movie came out, it came out, which most people don't realize, I believe a week before Titanic opened. And we all know what happened with Titanic. So the studio got nervous when James Cameron's and the movie predictions were coming out. So they threw out Event Horizon as quickly as they could. And really, this is a case of a great movie that got swallowed up because a better movie came out and took all of its momentum. And if you guys don't know, Paul W. S. Anderson did the very up and down Resident Evil series. And for me, I watch Resident Evil as guilty pleasure. It's in no means good. But yes, Event Horizon is one of those movies that I think goes very much under the radar. It was shot on a $42 million budget, or I mean, it grossed 42 million, but it made 60 million, and it did garner its money back on VHS. I miss the good old days. Okay, so over the years, this movie has gained quite a cult following. So I really love Event Horizon. I think it's a great movie. But what is the movie about, Todd? What is this great masterpiece you speak of? Not exactly masterpiece. It is here on my number 10, but it's definitely watchable. But basically, Event Horizon tells the story of the spaceship, the Event Horizon. Sam Neill from Jurassic Park fame is in this. He plays a scientist who created the ship. And the concept of the ship is, instead of having a warp drive or anything like that, it folds time and space and moves in between that point where it folds. And the ship disappears for 10 years. After 10 years, the ship brought something back with it when it reappeared. And these guys are sent to investigate it. This is a movie that feels like Hellraiser in space. Um, there is some really disturbing visuals, and I also have seen, I don't have, but I have seen the director's cut of this movie, and it's a pretty intense movie. Uh, there are some pretty crazy scenes of, especially in the logs. I mean, for the 90s. Now this movie isn't really that crazy compared to the other shit that we've had out. But back in the day when I saw this movie, it scared the shit out of me. This was one of those movies where I was like, "Oh goodness me," you know. Anyways, so definitely Event Horizon. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, I would urge you guys to definitely check it out because the weird thing is a lot of people have not seen this movie for some strange reason. So moving on to my number 9. And my number nine's a bit of a it's a bit of a weird one for a dude, I suppose, but you would understand the reason of why I seen this movie um, if you've seen the cast that is in it. So this is a movie I never see a lot of people talk about again, and that is once again bringing it back to the 90s. 1996. I was just watching this the other day, the movie The Craft. I hate witches. If I think most of the media that they're in is boring and dull. I never liked it. But 1996, The Craft was. I don't know how I put this to you except for saying it's a fucking cool movie. It's got the 90s feel to it. They had Bush in there and Nirvana and a bunch of different tracks. You guys know what I'm talking about if you lived in the 90s, okay? You know, it was edgy and broody. Um, okay, so I was going through my goth phase when this movie came out. And yeah, this was one of those movies that I went to see. And I got to say, I watched it last night, and to this day, The Craft still holds up. Um, and this is the point I think where Nev Campbell was really starting to come into the spotlight. And ironically enough, she doesn't have a bigger role in this than uh, let me look up her name. Uh, yeah, Farisa Balak. Yes, very weird name. She's in a lot of movies, but she is the main antagonist. And I gotta say, The Craft is one of those movies that it's surprisingly good, especially with the themes that it's tackling. But I, in general, really actually found parts in this movie legitimately scary. And I just think it's uh, one of the best witch movies to come out. So, what is it about? A girl named Sarah uh, moves to this town. She's the new girl. She goes to Saint Benedict's Academy, where she falls into a group of high school outsiders. But these girls aren't powerless misfits, and she discovers that they are learning the art of the craft. What's up, Justin? Hey, uh, I will send you something. I'm just talking my top 10 Halloween films to watch. So, if you're free, I could send you a link. Uh, I'm on my I'm on my number 9, which is The Craft. So, which a lot of people have not seen. So I was just explaining it. So, The Craft is a good movie. I liked it. It's one of those movies that that is definitely such a 90s movie, and I love it for that. The 90s was the age where there was so many good things going on. So, yeah, I sent you a link. You could go on, hop in. Um, but The Craft was one of those movies that I think was really underrated. It was very, for me, it was very ahead of its time as far as that stuff goes. And it was the only witch media besides this new Agatha all along. I would say I actually do like that now, but um, it was one of the witch medias I actually liked. So, Justin, really quick, I have my two. I'm doing my top 10 horror movies that I like to watch during Halloween. So this is non-specific. It's not going by what's the most popular or whatever. These are just personal choices.
Oh yeah,
My
yeah. I figured these are just like Halloween sort of movies. Yeah.
So I did my 10 and my 9, which my number 10 is Event Horizon and 9 is The Craft. What what ones do you have?
Ooh, okay. Okay.
right? Right?
All right.
And I did some deep cuts. I'm pretty sure there's people out there who don't know these movies.
Well, one of mine. This is in no particular order. I don't go with Silence of the Lambs. I go with Hannibal.
Int- Interested. Now, are we talking Hannibal the movie or Hannibal the show?
Oh, the movie, but the show is also worth talking about.
Because I would say I would also I would put the show in conversation for like better than the movie. But that's interesting. You want to know something? I've
Yeah,
actually said for years, Hannibal is not a bad movie, and that movie has gotten so much shit.
just because Jodie Foster isn't in it.
Yeah, that I really feel that's what it is. But like, that's a spicy choice. I like that. That's very like so why do you put Hannibal on your Halloween list? I mean, obviously he's a cannibal, but what
Um,
really gets you about that movie?
the brains.
Oh, and he eats Ray Liotta. You know, I think I remember you mentioning this to me a
Yeah.
while back. That scene with Ray Liotta always gets you.
Oh yeah, every single time.
Okay, and what about your number 9? Because I did
Um,
2, and then I'll do one. You do one.
I'll go with the random one. It's not really a Halloween type of film, but it's like it's called Circle. It's on Netflix. It's
Oh no,
very
no. You could definitely put that in Halloween. Anything. My criteria is if it scares you or something you put on Halloween, just as long as it's not Christmas or action or anything like
yeah.
that.
It's
I
not.
mean,
No, it's not. It's not even that scary. It's just like I like that movie a lot. I think it might be in my top 10 of just like favorite movies to rewatch. Not favorite movies of all time, because some of your favorite movies of all time, you only watch it like every now and then. But this is one that I could watch over and over and over again, and it's called Circled, not The Circle with Emma Watson and Tom
no, no,
Hanks.
no. It's Circle, the one with the.
Yeah,
It's got the red lighting on it.
yeah, it
Yeah,
has terrific sound effects, terrific music, very very consistent tension. And there's 50 people in a room, and only one of them can make it out alive. That's
yeah.
as simple of a like this could be done as an independent film. Like
Hey,
literally
Carmen.
anybody could make that film if you have 50 friends.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anybody could have made that film. You know what? If you wanted to put that into horror, I'd allow it because, for me, it's a very psychologically intense movie, dude. That's a great choice. Like, I like your choices, especially Hannibal. I remember you telling me the story because you've always told me when he eats the brain steak. I remember you pointing it out on another stream we did, and it just totally slipped my mind that scene always got you. And when I uh,
That's funny. That
when
that
I
one little piece of your brain
uh,
that remembered that slipped your mind.
yes, it was one of those things where I was like, and for me, when making this list, I said it's not just it's movies that scare us, right? So
Mhm.
I'm going from lowest to highest. So
Oh,
I
I'm just
know,
talking about in general. It's not movies that scare me the most. It's just ones that I'll watch.
I mean, movies we watch on Halloween, right? These are our Halloween movies. So,
Yeah.
and like I said in the comments below, if you do this on the rewatch, give me your top 10 movies to watch during Halloween. Now, like these are movies I watch. Like I watched Event Horizon the day before. I watched The Craft last night. It's kind of like a tradition that I have. So, what is the next one on the list? Now, I love this one. This is my favorite one because it doubles not only for Christmas, but for Halloween. Now, I've had arguments it works better on
No.
Halloween, but
No.
I'm
No.
going to talk about The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
This is my
boo. No.
this is my favorite because it's
No.
multi-layered, but I do think this works better on Halloween because it's
Mm.
Halloween theme. You have Halloween Town going to Christmas Town essentially on their holiday. So, and you see this all the time during mostly Halloween, but The Nightmare Before Christmas, I adore this movie. I drive bitchy up the fucking wall singing these songs. Like I kid you not, she hates Halloween because she knows that I'm gonna watch this every goddamn Halloween. And I don't know when it happened. Look, Tim Burton has always been my favorite director, but I honestly think this is his masterpiece because of the art behind it. You know what I mean? Even if you don't like the songs or um
Hmm.
the premise, you have to admit, artistically, this is a marvel. Like, this is all stop motion animation. There's not very many movies that do this anymore. And just for that alone, this movie should be put into a little time capsule and preserved. Because, Justin, honestly, how many of these movies do we get anymore? We don't even see this fucking animation anymore, to be
We
fair.
don't, and I understand the hard work and the dedication that comes into making a full feature, let alone like 5 seconds of footage. We did this in art class. I you know I understand. I understand, and to the scale, I get it. I just
I mean,
don't.
I know you
I,
hate musicals,
I
but
just don't
you
like musicals. I don't like claymation, and I don't like Tim Burton. I don't like his
it's
movies.
got your trifecta, but at the
It's not my thing, but for what it is, if you guys like it, like it's the best of like my worst nightmare. You know?
it's one of those movies, and we got Carmen going nuts, and I agree with you. Jack Skeleton and Sally, that is a romance for the fucking ages. I 100% agree. But for me, okay, this movie hit at a right point for me. Like, I was
Yeah,
older at that time, but it was mid 90s. Unlike you, I'm a huge Tim Burton fan.
right.
But like, just like everything, like, I'm sorry, Joker 2, this is how you do musical bits. Like, the music moves the story along. And I know, I don't know if you remember most of it, but if you listen to the songs, every song pertains to moving the plot along. Like when he's singing about Sally, or my fucking favorite song of all time, when he's like, "What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? What's this? I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. Wake up, Jack. This isn't fair. What's this?" When he's talking about Christmas because he's never been to Christmas land. He's never seen anything like it. And that's what I think you we were talking about when we talked about Joker 2. The music is a tool within itself to move the scenes along. And even if you don't like the music, which I think you'd be fucking nuts, but if you don't like the music in this movie, it at least serves a perfect purpose to the plot. And might I remind you, the great Danny Elfman did the soundtrack for this movie. So you not only have music, but you have music from one of the top people to ever create music.
I mean, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. It's just the
You
movie is
just got the trifecta of the
it's
things you
just
don't
the
like.
movie is designed not to appeal to me, like in a way, like that's self-centered as that statement sounds. I'm serious. It's just like you're right. It checks off all the boxes of things I don't like, and there we go. And if you like all those things, fantastic. It's amazing. I love it.
I
I
do agree.
can't stand it. That's it.
Yeah, and trust me, I've argued with Justin here on the channel about a lot of classics. It really the music thing gets him. But then you throw Tim Burton in it, he's already screaming no. Like if Tim Burton did the Joker too, and it was a musical,
I mean,
he
at
would
least
have
it would
even
have been.
gone.
It probably would have been interesting.
Yeah, one thing about Tim, you can't lie. Like his movies are all unique. You can't say Tim Burton ever did a movie that was similar to another one he did. Like every
Coraline.
well, but still unique, still totally different flavor. Yes, the animation was
And the
the
creepy
same,
style, yeah,
but
they're just a little bit
but
more advanced, but like similar type of movie that's trippy and weird, and I want no part of it.
you have to do a lot of drugs to enjoy Tim Burton. But what's your number 8?
You know what? I think I'm gonna go with the one that's I'm just gonna throw in the easy one, Halloween, back there. I'll just throw that in.
Now you're talking the 70s version or the
The
2018?
70s, but I could
Oh,
throw in. You know what? Actually, maybe I'll change my mind. I'll put Halloween Kills on.
oh boy, you're picking
You
a
know
good.
why? But it's a duology though. I'll do Halloween and then Halloween Kills, and then it's over for me. And I'm anxiously awaiting the third film. It works
You,
so well together, like the
you really,
2018. Yeah,
honestly, you could have, and this is what I talked about, thinking about it years later. I don't have as much of a problem as everyone else does with ends, but you really could stop at kills and pretend ends doesn't exist because
yeah,
it's
good
so weird
duology.
story wise. Yeah, it's so weird story wise. You could just say he murdered, uh, and it left like pretty much the original movie, and you could be happy with that and just be like, oh, well, series is done. That was a good run. You really don't have to put the third movie in there, and that's the weirdest thing about this trilogy. Um, it's just such a weird choice. But yeah, I think that's a very good um number 8 to go with.
I
So
don't know if it
movie.
counts as two though, but like I guess I'll
No,
just.
no, count 2 because I'm gonna put 3 coming up here right in the similar order. Um,
Oh, okay.
so for my number 7, and this is gonna be a spicy take, but I want you guys to remember something. I love this style of filmmaking, and this is not for everyone, but I put these things on the list that I watch and made an impression on me. This is just for fun. So, once again, if you're just joining me, make your own list of top 10 horror movies. But my number 7 for this list is going to be ones uh, that impacted me that I thought were super creative. And they started the found footage genre.
Oh
And that
no,
is the
no,
para-
no.
Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and 3. I
Oh
tend I
no.
I
Okay.
tend to stop at 3. That's
You had
headcanon
me
for
going
me.
for a second. You had me worried there that you were going to say Blair Witch. You had me
Oh no, no, no,
so
no, no.
so worried. I was like,
No,
no, please don't
no.
do that.
I think Blair
No.
Witch I think Blair Witch did kick off the found footage genre, but to me, okay, for me, I think Paranormal Activity refined everything that Blair Witch did, and it did it much better. Now, don't get me wrong. As the trope goes, there's always inherent problems. It still has all the same things that Blair Witch has, but it's fucking interesting and something happens at the end. You could always count out if you skip the first, I don't know, 40 minutes of the film, just go right to the ending, shit always goes down. And that was really what people were there for, right? You weren't there for the first hour of the movie. You know there's going to be some creepy stuff, things getting knocked over, people trying to figure out what's going on, people denying there's something in the house. Uh, really, like husbands just being terrible people. Like, honey, you're going nuts. This is, I don't believe in that hocus pocus mumbo jumbo nonsense.
He's a
And then
very
they set up,
unsupportive husband, and the wife
bro.
is just fed up with him. And so she makes up this ghost story thing, and then just like it's like, okay, demon possess me, whatever. Yeah, cool, fine. It's
I
fine. It's better in the theater. Like when you're in a crowded theater, it's so much better. It's like you know, it's like one of those like attractions like at a theme park. It's just fun, you know.
I got to admit, and don't worry, we'll get there because that's going to be higher up on my list. But yeah, I would say Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and 3 for me because, like you said, and here's the thing people don't remember, and I think you hit the nail on the head. If you saw them in the movies like I did, except for Ghost Dimensions, that's my Halloween ends. I pretend that one doesn't exist. I stopped at the marked ones, but like seeing them in the theater, like if you watch them now on your couch, even with a good sound system, you just don't get the same effect. But I remember every theater I ever went to see these movies in were fucking packed day one. And seeing it on the big screen is just such an experience that I can't uh even like convey to you guys. And like don't get it twisted. Like those promos they used to show with packed theaters and people screaming, that shit happened. Everyone I went into, you always had that couple that came and the girl and the guy. I had the dude throw up his popcorn. There was a scene in Paranormal Activity 2 where the knife is dangling and then it falls down onto the counter and he's like, oh shit, get out of there.
Oh, I thought you said he threw up in his popcorn. I'm like, holy shit, that would have been awful.
No, 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 no. He threw up his popcorn in the air and he
Yeah,
screamed like a chick. And I thought it was his girlfriend. And
but it
his
was him.
girlfriend's, yeah, his girlfriend like hits him on the bus. Shut up. Like, it
He
was.
lost all the brownie points that evening.
Oh, yeah. He definitely did not get any. But no, I don't think people realize, even if you don't like found footage, how important Paranormal Activity was to keeping
Mhm.
the found footage
Yeah.
um really into the spotlight. Now I get people don't like the shaky camera, but I think this is the one movie that has the steadiest cameras where you could sit down and watch it and not get that nauseous feeling. Like some of them at the end a little bit because they're moving around and they're running and then Toby fucks them
Well,
up.
they're all
But
like they're all cameras like within the house. Like it's so weird they're filming themselves sleeping. Like I would be so uncomfortable with that. There's
yeah,
just so many things to talk about. But yeah.
yeah, this is just a quick brief thing. So what is your number 7 as we get closer to the
Well, you
to
mentioned
the
Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'm gonna have to go with my gay best friend, Freddy's Revenge. It's part two. I love it. I love it just because like it's again, it's these aren't movies that are just like scary, but like these are movies that I can watch over and over again and pick apart different things, and that's what makes it fun. Like with the rewatch, I'm like, oh, I never noticed that. I never know. Uh, Freddy's Revenge is like the perfect tale of a kid who's gay in the 80s trying to come out of the closet, but eventually settling with the girl. Like just being closeted. It's a movie about being closeted. Like it wants to be gayer, but it can't be. Otherwise, they'll lose everyone. And also, like, because it's so trippy and it's kind of weird, like
Dude, Freddy
why
is
the
so
heck does he
scary in that
go
movie.
to why does he go to a gay bar? Like the scariest part is where they go to the leather daddy bar and the teacher's there and makes him run laps. I'm like, why? Why? Like
Dude, the
what are
choices,
the what are the
that
rules
movie is
here?
amazing though. Like
Yeah.
if you talk to Nightmare on Elm Street fans, I think part 2 is more accepted than it used to be. It got critically panned back in the
Mhm.
day, but I think really like nowadays, people really enjoy that movie for what the director tried to do but just couldn't get away with back in those days.
Oh
I
yeah, but
think if
also
we did it today, he could have
Mhm.
put all that shit in. People would have broke it down like us, analyzing it. I think, and that's the beautiful thing to me about horror. I think, especially with directors, the social commentary is so much better in horror movies, and they can mix interesting things with it. Where regular movies, they kind of just hammer us over the head, but horror really lends itself and always has to some kind of commentary. Or if you don't want to put commentary, you don't have to. But I don't know. Every time I see some kind of commentary in a Halloween movie, it's never bothered me because it just feels, or a horror movie in general, it just feels like it fits, and that they were always built on making some kind of weird statement. And Nightmare on Elm Street Part Two is the perfect example of this. And I think it's still scary. Like when Freddy's
he-
hand comes out of his chest, that's fucking creepy ass
that and then
scene.
he's just totally fine afterwards. I'm like, no, this guy is dead. Like,
Oh yeah,
but no, what's scarier is that he's not dead, but he felt all of that pain of somebody coming out of his chest and then lived. Like, that's gotta be so traumatizing.
dude, if you take the metaphors just out of it that the dude
Mhm.
is trying to say, just the visuals in general, and this is still at a time period where Freddy wasn't so goofy. He was still a pretty scary figure in horror.
Mhm.
So just the idea of something killing you in your dreams is pretty scary. But my my scariest pick is going to be my number 6, which you knew it had to make its way on its list because I've always been a fan of this franchise. But I want to make sure I'm saying the right one because I have a fellow fan. But The Jason with our good friend uh which Jason is it? The Jason where he
Jason
dresses up
X,
like no, Jason where he dresses up like Jason, very famous actor.
the movie
Uh
where Jason dresses up
he
as
was in
Jason,
Lost Boys. Why am I losing it?
the final chapter.
Yes, there we go. Final chapter. Um
Are we in
Jason,
agreement of something?
the final chapter. Love
That's gonna be
that.
my. That was gonna be one of mine. I'll just throw that in now.
Yeah, that's my number 6. So, Jason the final chapter. Um I mean, what can I say? Like, some people really hate this movie, some people really like this movie. But one, you had my favorite Jason in it, Kane Hodder, who I
Ted, no,
met.
Ted White. Ted White.
Was it Ted? Was it Ted White? I thought
Ted
Kane
White in
Hodder
the
was
final
it.
chapter. What makes him great is that when they're filming that sequence out in the lake, it was a real lake. It was in the middle of California in winter. Winter is still cold in California, just so you know. Even though it's not snowing, but especially when you're naked on that raft. The Ted White said, like, I'm going to leave this set unless you let her get out and like get warm because this is ridiculous. And he had to do that multiple times. Like, so
And
he stuck up for the actors for real.
this had two of me and you's favorite actors. We
Like 80
have
stars.
the 80 stories. Corey Feldman, that's the name I was trying to kick about, but not just him. Crispin Glover too.
Mhm.
You
Oh
had
yes,
like two elite. Here on the channel, these are elite. Like Crispin Glover, folks. Let me tell you something. This man is so fucking underrated with some of the best roles he'd had, and how fucking strange he looks, and he just fits horror like a glove. Yeah.
right.
like, like you know, yeah, Crispin Glover has always been one of my favorite actors, and Corey Feldman back in this time was still on a roll with especially in the horror scene. I think hadn't he just made Lost Boys before, and then he did this? I'm pretty sure Lost Boys was before this one. I feel like
Lost Boys was well after.
or was it after?
Uh, Lost
No, I
Boys
think
was
Lost Boys was after because he was older.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was in that time frame. We were in that golden age of his career where he everything he was doing was hitting. And then you had Crispin Glover, and this is just such a great movie. And I love how they call it Final Chapter because if you guys know the rules of slasher, it's never the fucking final chapter. They never, whenever they say the final chapter, it's never the fucking final chapter. I'm glad they stopped doing that. It's like, come on, man. We know if you make enough money, you're gonna keep this shit going forever. This franchise is like Jason himself. It just never fucking dies. Like we're talking like we're adults now, and they got a new show, thank God, coming out called Camp Crystal Lake.
Well, we'll
And
see. If we'll see. I'm
I
not.
heard production was already underway. I've been talking about it. I heard that production was underway, and they're looking to do either a late 2025 release or an early 2026.
I still
So
don't know. We'll see.
we'll see. The people who've made this have been in some pretty vicious battles. But so your number 6 is the same as mine. I take it. You put final chapter on there.
Yeah, I'll put that in there. It's gonna be. It would be higher up, but I can just leave it there and talk about other movies. These are out of order for me.
Okay, so we're entering my top 5, and my number 5 in my top 5, and it was super hard, but I got a soft spot, and there's a little bit of a history. When I first saw this movie ever, it scared the living shit out of me, and it made it so that I did not have any action figures or dolls in my room for fucking years. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, the little foul mouthed doll himself, the icon who somehow still kept it going better than most slasher villains that are on this list. But my number 5 is the original, the first 1988 classic, Child's Play. This movie I rewatched, as a matter of fact, recently, and I forgot how actually good this movie is. Like how well acted this movie is. Like every character in this movie is likable. Every scene is
What's the
understandable.
movie again?
Child's Play, the original.
Oh,
The
no.
original Child's Play is first on my top 5. I fucking love Child's Play. This movie was the movie where when I saw when I was little that actually scared me, and I didn't pick up the series again till like Child's Play 3 when he was in the military. I fucking love that movie too. Um, but this movie, people forget Chucky was originally scary, and this movie to me is
Huh.
super fucking scary. Like, I know people laugh, he's just an adult, but Brad Dorff, that voice, man, and I'll never forget the scene where the mother's holding him over the fire and she's like, "Talk to me, you little fucker. Speak to me." And he goes, "Shut up, bitch." And she throws him. Like, dude, this movie was actually legit scary. I don't know. I love Child's Play, and I think I love it now more than ever now that I'm an adult, you know, and I
Yeah.
can see the real like cinematography and everything that went into it, and respect how good the acting in the movie it was. Um, Yeah, and keep in mind too, this is an 80s movie, and the effects and everything were super good. But one person who never gets shouted out that I want to talk about is the mother from this movie. Um,
Oh, she was
uh,
very good. Yeah.
yeah, like, dude, this movie had unreasonably good acting for the time because a lot of a lot of a lot of these movies, and especially when you're making a movie about like a 5 foot doll that's killing people, that could turn into a joke real fast. But
And
just
and
from
it did at one point.
it did,
Now
it did. They
and
went
now and
too
now it is a joke. At this, it's just fun.
now
Yeah.
they lean into it, which it changed and it more for time. But I'm so glad that it stayed in the public consciousness. But I tell you, folks, there was a time when Chucky was scary, and if you want to see it, check out this '80s movie. And the best part about it is it's very watchable. The effects are surprisingly good for the time, and they're all practical. Especially when he's like melted and he's got the knife and everything, like he's moving around.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. It's just I fucking love the movie. So
I completely understand. And speaking of like goofy shit, I have one for you. Since we already talked about one of my top 5, it's the final chapter. I'm gonna give a shout out to one that's made for kids. And that's like ridiculous. It's called The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald. Scared
uh,
Silly.
I mean, it's fine. It's designed. Look, I said anything Halloweenish that's something you
it's
celebrate.
just
That's definitely
it's one of those like back in the day you got like VHSs of like when McDonald's was trying to be Disney and have his characters and whatever be marketed. This one was just like there's songs in it. I skip it. It's once they get to this haunted house part, like they're initially all going camping for some reason, and then they go to this haunted house and they get picked up on one by one. I think that was one of the first times when I was really young that I loved that concept of like somebody getting picked up one by one and it's the last person left and they have to stop whatever. And then, but of course it's a kid's thing, so everyone turns out fine. But it's just like I just like that, so I just wanted to give that a shout out. It wasn't really terrifying. It was just like, this is interesting. They're actually killing off these characters, but then they're fine at the end. I'm like, oh, well, it's a good thing they're not gone, I guess. That'd
yeah.
be cool.
And I think like as we get closer to the list, these are ones that really hit. And I'm gonna have some new ones in here,
Yeah.
especially for my top one.
I can't believe I did a McDonald's one. It's
Dude,
for
not
young kids.
sponsored. Not sponsored, by the way. And yeah, I agree
No.
with you too, Carmen. She says the one where he's in the factory, that's Child's Play 2. Even that one was a little bit more creepier. It's when you got to 3 where you really saw the shift. Now, I love everything Chucky or Child's Play, whatever they're going by. I love it. I love it all. Mainly because of Brad Dorff and Fiona
Hmm.
Dorff are both extremely talented. I see the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as
Hmm.
they say, because she's very talented and she does her father's voice like very
Right.
eerily the same.
Hmm.
So
Now I
I
got a more serious one. Now this is actually entering my top five because we
okay,
talked
so
about
this is
Friday.
number 4, right?
No, this is my number five because like
Okay.
we already talked about like my what was it? What did I put it under? Number four. I talked about my number four. So this is five. Any of the Scream movies, easy. Any of them. It could be any of them.
Oh,
The,
you
the
son of a
first,
bitch! I was just getting to my number 4, but go ahead and then I'll go to number 4.
yeah, yep. All of them. It doesn't matter because they're all good films. Some of them are better than others. If I'm gonna pick one, it'll probably be in between one, two, or six. But
Okay,
like
that's fair.
three's good, but like that's when I'm like binging. Same with four, like that I don't choose that out of isolation. Nor would I ever want to just watch five out of isolation. I can't. No, no thanks.
See,
I'll I'll
4,
I'll do one,
I
two, and
disagree.
six.
I could watch
I
4
could,
out of
but I do it when
isolation.
I'm binging. I don't like.
Yeah,
That's
just
just
to
me.
complete the set, so to speak. You're like, well, I already did 3, so I might as well go
Yeah,
into. Yeah, I get you because that's
yeah.
how I feel about this. To be honest with you, completely. Which one was it? I think we both agreed. I liked 5. That's where the new break started. 5.
That's where I was like, It's my least favorite, but then again, it's my least favorite. But six,
See,
yeah.
6 for me, I would never ever watch unless I started the. See, 6 is my one where I wouldn't watch it out of order because I fucking hate most things. We had a discussion about it, but check out our
Yeah,
discussion if you didn't.
on
I
both
am
five
not a
and
fan
six.
of Scream
Yeah,
6. Not
yeah,
whatsoever. But and I,
I
I think
completely
they're really
understand, and I'm really not too big of a fan on five. Like, I'll still watch it. Like, it's watchable, but I'm still like, I'm groaning at some parts. I'm like, no, why? All that stuff.
okay. So on that note, I might as well just get into my 4 because you fucking ruined it.
Oh
And
no,
my
it's fine.
4
I just wanted to. Yeah, go
My
ahead.
4 my number 4 is the Scream uh franchise. Like you said, in general, look, I know, and this is the great part about this series, at least for me. I know not everybody will like every Scream, but I feel like Scream is the most consistent as far as how well it does and what people's opinions are about the movies. And there's 6 in. This is territory that normally kills a franchise at this point, and yet, people are still gonna go see 7 no matter how hard or how mad they are about all the stupid bullshit going on with the actors and the company or whatever else. I just think in general, there's something about Scream that's universal. And folks, you got to keep in mind, I went to see the original Scream in theaters, and my dad only went with me because he doesn't like horror movies. He went with me thinking Drew Barrymore was going to be in it, and even he acknowledged that the twist of that movie was great because Drew Barrymore's. If you look at the original posters, Drew Barrymore is like front and center on the poster, and if you
Oh,
guys don't
always. You know what? She took up Randy's space. Randy never got a poster. Not once.
know,
Never.
hashtag justice for Randy.
That was bullshit. He never got on the. How the hell did fucking nobody, Jada Pinkett, like not even like
Get
Will
on the
Smith? He's not
poster,
even.
right?
He's not even. She's not even Will Smith's wife yet. Like what is she known for? And she gets like on the poster before Randy, one of the main characters. Somebody's got to do like some sort of edit on that and just put Randy in
No,
there.
no, Carmen. What I'm saying is, uh, my dad thought she was going to be a final girl in it because of the way that they marketed it. They thought she was going to be uh the main attraction. I know she's the first kill essentially, but the way, if you remember the marketing back in the day, the way it was marketing it, and the way when they used to cut trailers good, the way it was cut, it gave the appearance like she was going to have a bigger role than she actually did. And that's a clever bait and switch, because my dad would have never seen that movie if Drew Barrymore wasn't front and center, because he's a fan of Drew Barrymore. So he went in thinking she was going to have this big role, and she literally gets murdered in like the first 10 minutes of the film. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what I mean with Scream broke all the rules, and really Scream saved horror back in the day. Like, if you guys don't know, horror was in a very bad place, whether it was werewolves, vampires, slashers. The horror part of the industry was having a really tough time. And if it wasn't for Scream, who knows what kind of shape horror would be in to this day. Scream really took the horror genre and showed people what you could do with it. That you could make something fresh and original, and you could still attract people. But I don't want to spend too much time, because
Yeah.
also you guys got to remember I got to I'm dressing up as the Joker, so
Oh
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
keep this
And
at an
now we're
hour.
finally at our top three because we finally like our overlaps are done.
So, top 3. My
Okay.
my top
Who,
3,
who do
and
you want to go first?
you know what? I've gone first on the big transitions, so I'm gonna let you transition. Uh,
Well, that concept is very alien to me, and I'm gonna have to go with that as number three is Alien.
ooh.
Now
Uh,
these are seriously my top three for Halloween. Almost in order. So Alien, I did not. It took me like what, like 10, 15 years to finish it, something like that. Like I started off when I was like 7, maybe 8, but my family like had like some sort of like, I don't know, like Stars on Demand. It's just like you had like movies that you could all watch and it was all there. It was sort of like Netflix, but it was on your TV. And they had a selection of movies. Then I'm like, oh, Alien, I've heard that. I like Alien movies. And then like it goes on, and I'm like, this is kind of boring at first. And then like some things happen, and then the
I mean, you
alien
can
pops out of
spoil
the
it at
stomach.
this
Yeah,
point.
the alien pops out of the stomach, and then I thought that's how pregnancy worked, and I was like so scared. I was like, that's where babies come from.
Dude,
And
that would be the best talking point for like Planned Parenthood or all of these like things against abortion. Just show like this girl getting ready to give birth, and then a fucking face hugger just pops out and be like, "That's what
yeah,
happens."
yeah, hmm
You scare tons of people straight.
terrible.
Fuck
That's
using
terrible.
these politicians or
But
whatever. Just show them
yeah,
aliens.
but yeah, but it was also like a really suspenseful, claustrophobic film, all in the dark. I was even worried about the cat, but then like and then there's a robot, and like, oh my gosh, and I'm like,
When he
this,
shoved the newspaper in her mouth,
yeah.
uh, I'm like,
I was
what
like,
were you trying to
um,
do?
what is going on? So it got a little crazy, but like the atmosphere never changes. I'm never pulled out of the movie too much, except for maybe the robot stuff, because I still don't get it. I haven't watched very many of the other Alien films. I know aliens do it. I'm like, fine, one day, but yeah, that one always gets me. Always gets me. Like the childhood, the child in me is like, oh my gosh, no. And there's a couple other that I saw early on that are on this list as well, but Alien has to be one of them.
Okay, so for me, and I have a feeling our lists are gonna wildly diverge, but for me, one, it's been a franchise that I'm equally passionate about. I like to talk about more on this channel and actually have reviews for these movies. But my number 3 has got to be a series that I've loved forever, a series that is still going on to this day. And each movie can be watched out of context except for the first 3, and you could watch them independently on their own, and they're all good. They all have something to offer, and that is the Evil Dead franchise.
Okay.
I love Evil Dead, and I love every iteration that they've ever done.
Oh,
Whether you go,
Evil Dead 2 is great. I think I'll replace the Ronald McDonald one and put Evil Dead 2. Okay.
I'll allow it. And so Evil Dead for me, Evil Dead is such a unique franchise because you could literally pick out any one of these movies, and there's people who will like a movie in this franchise. It never does bad, and it's got a generally good consensus for every one of these movies. Even Evil Dead Rise did gangbusters, and I fucking adore that movie. But for me, if you put a gun to my head, my one will always be Army of Darkness. I fucking there's so many one-liners that
Still
just
haven't
hit.
gotten to that yet.
Yeah,
That's
you
where I'm
know
like,
what? You know
Evil
what?
Dead is straight up. Evil Dead 2 is like more wacky, and then Army of Darkness is like, let's. To me, like, even though I haven't seen it yet, I'm like, this is probably where this all goes off the rails. Like, and I just didn't bother with it because I'm like thinking it's either going to be terrific, like honorable trash, or it's going to be like actual trash. Waste
You
of
know
time.
what? Maybe next Wednesday we could do a watch along, and we could do a watch along for your or Army of Darkness.
Why don't we
It'd
do a
be
tier
you,
list first and then go from there?
or we can watch it first and then do a tier list because then I assume
Yeah,
we can
whatever.
caught up.
Yeah, I haven't watched all of them, so
Yeah, so let me know which ones you haven't watched. We could do a watch along for the ones you haven't watched, and then we could do a tier list after.
sure. Yeah, that
Yeah,
works.
because I know PB loves them all, so we could just sit here together and watch them, and then we
It's
could do
just
our tier
fun.
list together.
It's one of those movies where I'm like, I would love to just have some popcorn, smoke a little weed, have some
Oh,
drink,
dude.
and have a good time.
Oh yeah, dude, you get stoned, especially Army of Darkness. You get a little bit stoned. You watch that movie, dude. Some
Right.
wild shit happens, and of course, we can't forget the ever lovable a guy I've met once, but
Bruce
I
Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. Like the concept would be
I
so
don't even
stupid.
like. I'm not even a big fan, and I know he's amazing with fans, which makes me just like him. But I don't want to like. I'd love to just run into him at a bar and just yeah.
Oh, he'd be so fun to meet at a bar. He'd be so fun. Um, so moving on to the top two, and I had a really hard time with these, and one of them's gonna be a newer one, but for number two, I want to put forth a trilogy of movies made by a great director, and they are interconnected, but not really. It was actually technically the first interconnected universe that was done by a horror director. And
Hmm.
I want to say my favorite Halloween movies is called the Apocalypse Trilogy, and it has Prince of Darkness, uh, The Thing, and In the Mouth of Madness. So
That's almost cheating.
no, it is not. That Carpenter himself has confirmed that all three movies are in the same canon universe. They are both interconnected. They're just taking place in different locations, but at
Oh,
the same time.
that's okay. That's
So, and he
I'll let
does,
that go. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
there is an interview, and he does dub it the Apocalypse Trilogy. But I love all three of these. Obviously, at the top, if I was ranking them in between their movies, I would say The Thing, In the Mouth of Madness, and Prince of Darkness. But I love watching. I own all three of these movies. I do watch them on Halloween. Prince of Darkness is just super fucking weird. Of course, you have Donald Pleasance, is it from Halloween, who plays Loomis?
Donald Pleasance, yeah.
Yep, he's in Prince of Darkness. Um, and it's a very good movie, a unique take on vampires and the apocalypse, where it's like green goop that's linked to the devil essentially, and there's science and question of religion. In the Mouth of Madness is tough because I put it right up there with The Thing. In the Mouth of Madness hits me differently because I write, and I like the idea of this writer who creates this fictional town called Hobbs End. And Sam Neill is an insurance investigator, and he goes to investigate the claim because the author disappeared, and they want to know where the hell he is because they need a copy of his book. And
Oh. Hmm.
yeah, Yeah, and the book, everybody who reads it, they go mad, hence the name of In the Mouth of Madness. And I just love the fact that it fits this day and age because when it was like, oh, Sutter Kane's got a new movie coming out, and they converted the book into a movie so it'll reach a broader audience. Like, I love everything about it, and of course, the classic that's always going to be number one, The Thing. Like, what do I gotta say about The Thing that hasn't been said? Look up on YouTube videos. Like, The Thing has been fucking analyzed to this day. People are still trying to figure out if Childs was the thing or not. There's been debates since the fucking 80s, since that movie came out.
And we'll never know. That's
And
what's
we'll
funny.
never know because Carpenter's a son of a bitch and has
Yeah,
not answered that
he
question.
knows, but you don't, and you never
Oh,
will.
he definitely knows. He definitely knows. And even they've tried to ask people on the production and everything else, and they'll throw you little hints like, "Oh, if you don't see the light reflecting off their eyes, then it's the thing." Or the other one like, "Oh, because he wasn't breathing the air out with as cold as it is, he was the thing." But we don't have a definitive answer, and we'll never fucking know. Me and Justin will both be dead before we ever get that fucking answer.
Yeah. Oh,
Carpenter will be dead before we get the answer.
he's never gonna write down his answer. I'm like probably like at this point he's not. We'll never
Yeah.
find out. But here's
So
something that we know very crystal clear. Very crystal clear. We know who the Candyman is. That's Tony Todd. That's my number two is Candyman. It's so cool.
that's a very good pick.
It's Chicago's very creepy as is, and then going straight into Capri Green and like the hood, it just adds a whole element of just talking about atmosphere. Like of course, like a big turning point is like the discussion of its themes and about race and just how about unfair it was that the Candyman like got his hand cut off and like hung to begin with. Now he's like haunting everyone because fuck you. It makes sense. And then people coming out in the mirrors and there's just so many different layers of lore that just kind of like they sort of work and interconnect together. And it makes me, it's one of those movies. It was the first movie I watched where I just said, not the bees, no!
No, the bees, not the
Yeah,
bees.
not the bees.
Dude, I could totally get behind that. And folks, definitely check out my compare and contrast video. It is in the reviews playlist. I did a compare and contrast between the original Candyman and the rebooted one, which too had
Yeah.
Todd in it. And at the same time, uh, you could see just how much, and they did it all the same. I didn't get even on the politics of the new reboot sequel, whatever the fuck it was, because it actually didn't turn out to be a remake. It's more of a sequel to the original.
Yeah, yeah.
And but my thing is like you said, there's something missing because you don't have Tony Todd doing Candyman's voice. Or I think he did the voice over the guy, but the guy didn't look like Tony Todd. He just didn't have the look was my issue. And my other issue was the kills were so much lamer. It was just like,
And the kills
and
weren't that great in the first one either. They weren't like spectacular kills. You don't go to that for the kills, really, but they're
but
effective.
yeah, they're effective. And I think the message was so much stronger where the newer Candyman had that shitty modern writing in it that just really held it down because it's like, yes, we get what you're saying.
Does it hit
And
you
I
over
feel
the head too hard?
it really does like beat you belligerently over the head. And they redid it but with a male character instead of having a white woman covering it, which
No,
which
no.
hits see that hits the racism angle better to me because that was the whole point. She couldn't understand the struggle that they went through in the projects because of her race and where she grew up. That was literally the whole point of the movie. And that's what I mean where a movie like Candyman, especially now, could never be made right because the directors shot it in a way where the theme they were talking about makes more sense. In that original movie, she was an upper class white woman going
Right.
into a very poor black neighborhood
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
not
It
knowing
was.
shit.
Mhm. You know
and
what also did? You know what didn't make it into the top 10? Because I got to get going soon. I know you do too. What almost made it was Zombieland.
oh yeah, Zombieland, I was close. So
Because yeah.
my number one is gonna be a newer entry into the horror genre from just last year. But this is a movie I don't get bitchy to agree with me on a lot of movies. We've watched this stoned, we've watched this drunk. This is with an actor who deserved to get an award, and I can't believe he didn't get
Oh,
it.
I know. Well. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
But one of my favorite movies to watch, and I just watched it last night. And it's truly a masterpiece, taking everything in the found footage, but flipping it on its head and making it uh, more palatable for audiences. And it was at my number one last year for horror movies. Late Night with the Devil. What a fucking amazing movie. David Dashmoshian, I believe that's how you say his name. Uh, if you see his face, you'll know who it is. Um, this movie shot up to my number one because I never get bitchy unicorn to agree with me, especially she's very, very picky with her horror, and she hates found footage and she hates possession movies. So, like
If she
this,
likes it, I have a shot.
yeah, she's in the same boat as you. But Late Night with the Devil, it is like watching a Johnny Carson show, like a bird's eye view, but they just changed the name. And they literally mention Johnny Carson because the main character played by David Desmoshian is named Jack Delroy. And he's going up against Johnny Carson in the ratings. And so there's this secret organization, which is real in real life. This is based on a secret organization within Hollywood or rumors of it called the Owls. And it's inferred that they made a deal with something to gain riches. And so the movie starts off with him climbing up as a young up and comer. He's neck and neck with Johnny Carson in the ratings, and he just falls short. And he joins this elite group. Some kind of deal is made. He starts rising, and then his wife gets sick, and his wife passes away. And after that, his ratings go into the shitter, kind of becomes Jerry Springer like. And they show you through video clips, almost like you're watching Carson clips,
Hmm.
but with him of his slow decline. And then Halloween night, and this is why this movie is even perfect to watch on Halloween.
And then something changes on Halloween night, and I don't want to know because I want to watch it now.
Okay, but Halloween night, he has a special guest coming on who's supposed to be this girl possessed by the devil. And he's going to be the first show ever to show it. And he does the Halloween special. And that's where we pick up. And that's where this story is about is one night, one video taping of these found tapes around the studios, and the movie is wild. And it's not one of those found footage movies where you're bored because it transports you back to a time where late night talk shows were like the big thing. And I'm talking about good late night
Yeah,
talk shows.
yeah.
And so if you like Johnny Carson, if you like that kind of vibe, and if you want to see a scary movie based on like that, and can we talk about David Desmosian for a second? This man has
Go
been in
for it.
so many movies. You probably don't even know who I'm talking about.
Nope.
He is one of those actors that if you see his face, and hold on, I'm going to show you an image of him and you're going to immediately recognize him. But he is one of those actors that he's in a bunch of different movies. And like I can give you some movies he's been in. He's been in Blade Runner 2049, Last Voyage of the Dimitri, Ant-Man,
Oh,
the original one,
he looks
Dune.
like someone I've seen before.
Yes. So you
But I
know,
can't. I probably haven't. I don't know if I've seen any of his. Uh, he's in the Dark Knight.
yes,
Okay.
he was
Oppenheimer. All
he
right.
was the
Okay.
crazy person that that Two Face was gonna originally kill when he was flipping the coin. He's like, "Where's Joker?" And he goes, "He's just some crazy guy. He doesn't know anything." That was him playing that role. David Dastmalchian has been in Hollywood so it's so many different things, but this is a movie he stars in. He is front and center, and his acting is so fucking brilliant. Um, this was me and Bitchy's movie, like automatically a favorite. I remember her watching it, and I knew right away she was gonna love the movie because she got so entranced by it. And we've watched it 2 or 3 times. That matter of fact, we watched it the next day after that because she was so in enthralled in the movie. And it's on AMC if you want to watch it now or
I'll
Shudder.
take your word for it.
But yeah, check out Late Night with the Devil. I think you'd really like it. It's just so wildly different. It's so unique, and it came out in 2023. That's the amazing part. And it was my number one horror movie because it just was so different with the found footage
Right,
angle.
right. It did something a little new with it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad when there's a refresher in there for sure.
So
And
that's
really,
my number one.
okay. Well, here we go. I think you could have guessed this, so I'm gonna make this quick. This is the movie that I watched over and over again and was always like genuinely terrified by it because I watched it when I was kind of young, like 10, 11, like 11, something like that. And I was only able to watch this because there was a guy, I was like looking at different horror movies with my friend, and we weren't allowed to buy the R-rated movies. So this random dude buys these movies for us and gives it to him and lets us walk out. I thought it was creepy at first, but really he was cool. Like now that I think about it, I'm like, huh. Kind of reminded him of like him when he was a kid. So I'm like, that's kind of cool. Kind of weird, but kind of cool. One of them was It, like the old, and then the other one was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2003.
Oh, so that's your number one?
Yeah, that scares the shit out of me. That
Dude,
Leatherface is scary. The way he kills people is like horrifying. That when the girl blows her head off, like that shot is amazing. I love every bit of it. Arlie Ermy, like if I need a break and need a quick laugh, there we go. There's a guy from Toy Story in there to give you the giggles. It's and he's an asshole cop yelling at people. Or sheriff. He's not really the sheriff, but we don't find that out until later. But yeah, it's crazy. And the deaths in there when they come, they are absolutely brutal. And especially the one dude. The one dude gets it terrible, like more brutal than anybody else. But like they all get fucked in that movie, like almost everybody. And it's just like it made me afraid of, like, you know, when you go into a haunted maze, and there's like people with chainsaws. I'm terrified of that. When there's a chainsaw, I'm like, nope, I'm shoving everyone out of the way. I'm running away. No thanks.
Dude, I'm so glad to hear you put 2003 at number one because, like, I like the old one and respect the old one like everyone else.
It's
But
boring.
to me, if you put a gun to my head, I'd say the 2003 one is the one to watch just because visually it's night and day, and I think that the acting and, like you said, the kills are just so much more visceral. Like, people were tense back in the day, but I don't think they remember that in that old Texas Chainsaw movie there weren't that many kills really in that.
Yeah, and they weren't like terribly brutal, but like and Franklin was a fucking waste. Like I would have
Franklin
thrown him
was
down a hill.
such a piece of shit. So
He's rude,
weird.
he's mean, he's demanding. I get it, you're in a wheelchair, boohoo. But like look, like, you know, you don't.
Carbon said laughing emojis. Wow, Justin.
What I just said, it might have been before. I don't know what she's talking about. But yeah, dude, it's boring. But it's slow. It takes a long time, and it's like there's no music, and it's like we're just watching static. Like we're hearing static the whole time. I'm like, no, this needs some sort of soundtrack or something. There was just a lot missing. It was too raw. Good job, but like for the 70s. But I prefer the cleaned, polished version that's more modern, that still holds up after 20 years, and it kind of, in a way,
people forget at this point it's becoming a classic. At this point, I would call it a classic. If you are like past the 20-year mark, you have earned your flowers. If you're still in the public
If it's a good
conscious.
movie, then sure.
And I believe people. It's just like with me and the what 2010 or is it 2008 Friday the 13th. I love the
2009. Oh yeah,
2009.
absolutely.
I fucking adore that. I was watching it the other day. Like, and I was very close. We might have to do maybe every Halloween we'll do 10 different movies. We can make it a thing. But
Mhm.
um these are just for this year that came to mind. And but like I would even put that on my list because dude, Jason Beelining it is the scariest shit you will. When you see that big ass man running towards you, I would shit myself. I
Yeah,
would shit my pants.
exactly, and that's why I think Zombie Jason can suck it, because Zombie Jason is boring. Like
I do agree. Zombie Jason is not that interesting, but
he's
uh
just slowly walking. He just teleports. And like, ugh, give me a break. You can teleport anywhere if that's the case. Why not do it anywhere else?
no,
Like,
no,
why?
we both saw in a violent nature. He's not teleporting. We're just not seeing it from his perspective. He actually just walked around the house, waited for them. You know, he put the stick in there and honked the
Oh yeah,
horn, and then went
I
around.
saw it
Dude,
too. I liked it. It was, yeah. When and that movie's I've already said my piece with it. The pacing, when it works, it works. When it doesn't work,
it
I go
doesn't
out,
work.
I walk out, and I'd rather like have a cigarette or something and just like take a break.
Dude, I've watched it again. I just fast forward the extended walking.
Yeah.
I just fast forwarded a little bit when they really get into the nature
Oh,
aspect of the movie.
it's like what I do with musicals. Oh, they're singing, skip.
That's what that is what okay, so me and Bitchy started watching Agatha all along, which is surprisingly good. Go check out my review for the final.
Hmm.
They actually landed it on the show for this one. But that's what she did because there's a musical there's an obnoxious episode 5 and where they start singing like a 70s music. I don't know what it is about them trying to bring back musicals these days, but she fucking fast forwarded right past the part and continued the episode. Um but uh but yeah, like I don't know what it is about people not getting the concept of musicals. There is a concept when you're watching a musical. Like Justin just hates them and I get it cuz you can hate the genre, but when you do it, there is a reason why musicals work like Grease, even if you don't like Grease or Sound of Music or West Side Story. It's that the song is actually part of the plot. It's the character's thought. It's a gang member talking to another gang
And what
member.
you're telling me
It's
right now is to
something.
skip the show.
No, no, no. Just skip
Musicals,
episode 5.
no.
That's the only one that has a musical bit. You can just skip over episode 5 and catch the recap on 6. But it is a really good show. That is going to be for this year. I gave the last 2 episodes. Episode 8 was a 9 and episode 10 was a 9. I did not think I was going to do that
Sticks the
for a Marvel
landing.
Plus.
Okay, I like it.
So it sticks to landing. Like if you
Right.
watch it through, they did something I haven't seen Marvel do. The last 2 episodes actually retroactively make the first 3 or 4 that were kind of meh make more sense and better in perspective because there's a bit of a mystery going on and the way they explain everything makes sense to the story and you can go back through and watch it and go, "Oh shit, because I watched it the first time I didn't pick it up." But when they do the big reveal, you're like, "Oh yeah, that all makes sense." Okay.
It
It
all
was a
works
really
out.
good and it was the first show in years I've seen Marvel do where they killed people and they actually died. Death is in this show, literal death. And you see death carry the people off like Marvel was winking at us going, "Oh yeah, we got you. You
Death
know
is
you're
coming.
concerned."
Death is coming in the
Yep.
Avengers.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
actually that no one's dead for real
No, no, this time it's for real. And they actually have a pretty cool backstory
until
with the
now.
character um, that explains why it does what it does, and I think it's going to factor into later Marvel stuff to fix the problems we've all had issues with because they mentioned certain things, and I was like, is this Marvel's way of trying to fix stuff?
Yes.
Like, dude, this show actually made me excited for Daredevil now because they readjusted stuff and reshot stuff in this show, and I think they made it better. And the writers, I listened to how they talked in about it, and yeah, no cameos from other big like stars. It was just on its own merits, and they stuck the landing, and I was happy about it. But what show you need to be watching is The Penguin, because oh my fucking god, we got 2 episodes left. What a masterpiece! Like, for me, if you put a gun to my head and ask me my 2 favorite shows of this year, it'd go Penguin, Agatha All Along, and then probably um, Tulsa King. And then we'll see how Yellowstone looks, because that hasn't premiered yet. But I'm gonna do a top at the end of the year. I've got so much stuff. I'm doing a top 10 television shows. I'm gonna do top 10 horror movies, top 10 movies, and so check it out. And I might release those a little bit before the end of December, because they're really hard, long lists to do. So I'm gonna get them out earlier. Also, my birthday is coming up December 17th, so
It's
I
in
probably
December.
yes, I will
Oh,
probably do it.
we have plenty of time.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a stream probably after that day. I'll be slightly hungover, but because Bitchy actually has a party planned for me. So unlike every year, I'm sorry folks, I won't be doing a birthday stream. I'm actually going to be out with a couple of my friends and my amazing uh, future wife. So I won't be doing anything this year for my birthday, but I will do something the day after, more than likely hungover. Uh,
Yay! All right. Better be like as soon as you wake up. We have to see all the awfulness.
oh my God! But hey, man, thank you for
All right.
joining me.
Absolutely.
Everybody, go check us out on Wednesdays. I know we didn't do a tier list this week, but we've all been kind of busy. But we got to bring that back out. Talk to you
Soon
about
enough.
that later. We've all been kind of busy doing our own thing, but especially with Halloween, it's been busy. I wanted to do this list with you guys. Thank you very much. In the comments, let me know what's your top 10 movies. Mine are as follows. Just a quick rundown if you missed. At number 10, Event Horizon. 9, The Craft. 8, The Nightmare Before Christmas. 7, Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and 3. Um, 8 is Jason the Final Chapter. 7 is Child's Play. 6 is the Scream franchise. 5 is the wait. Oh wait, did I do that out of order? So it's no, forget the numbers. It's just the Scream franchise, the Evil Dead franchise, the Apocalypse trilogy that has the Thing, In the Mouth of Madness, Prince of Darkness, and of course Late Night with the Devil, taking
And, and
the
then and then mine were Hannibal, Circle, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Evil Dead 2 because I changed it. Honorable mention is Ronald McDonald. uh, and then any of the Scream movies, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, Alien, Candyman, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us. We will be back probably next Wednesday. Maybe we'll do a fun little watch along, and we could get you started on finishing some of those Evil Dead movies. Maybe we'll do
Maybe. We'll see.
Army of Darkness. We'll see. I'll talk to you about that, see if you're available, and we can watch Army of Darkness together with PB.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's make it happen.
All right, cool. So thank you everybody. And as always, remember, here in spooky season, there is only one thing you need to do for this channel: kneel before General Zod.
And carve him like a pumpkin.